Stuart,
Yes.
I believe we are at or close to a full moon, and I am told that this is called the full moon of the harvest. Do you have any words to share about how each of us can receive this harvest or other blessings in our life? And essentially, the question is about receiving.
When I was younger, at the ashram up in Big India in New York, every full moon we used to have a puja ceremony. And we'd light a big fire, and everybody would walk around the fire, and then you would surrender something, like a shirt, a pair of socks. You would throw it in the fire to give up something, possession. And it was just really a metaphor for what is essential if you're going to have a spiritual life. You have to let go, and there is a harvest inside every human being when you let go. You come to a place in yourself where there's more creativity, there's more openness, there's a deeper connection with spirit, there's more room inside you to truly absorb that kind of thing. So it's like every one of these classes is kind of like a puja, because in order to do it successfully, one has to let go. We have to let go. So, the harvest moon, I mean, look, I'm not a astrologer, I'm not a person who astronomer or anything like that. But just the words in themselves, a full moon is one of the most powerful moments of the month. And if it's a harvest full moon, it means that we can harvest in ourselves deeper levels of spiritual energy, deeper levels of creativity, more openness, and let's take it another step, more joy, more love, more of what it means to function here on a very high level of our humanity. In order to do this, we have to let go. And in letting go, you understand, we create a harvest inside ourselves. And I think maybe the harvest moon is a symbol of that. It's a metaphor for that. Also at the time in agriculture was a time where crops were harvested. The time of the full moon, the earth was producing abundance. You understand? We also can produce abundance, but we have to plant the seeds. We have to nurture the soil. We have to mulch the soil. We have to truly take care of this flower that is growing, this produce that's growing, that it's us, and if we don't do that, there really is no harvest moon. There's just a lot of words and people out glaring at the moon and gets a little bigger and and but it has no meaning. But if we learn to surrender in that kind of depth, the metaphor of a harvest moon is an extraordinary one. And if, just what I said, the moon, full moon, every time of the month is the most powerful day of the month. We are really being affected by the power of the moon. If it's a harvest moon, my God, why can't we harvest in ourselves deep levels of spirituality, deep levels of joy, of love, deep levels of our own humanity? The only thing that's missing is, we don't do it. Well, it's a good talking point at the next cocktail party. Well, I really watched the harvest moon. Wow, was it terrific? Give me another vodka martini. So I think to me, that's what all this means. All of it is a metaphor for what goes on inside a human being. And why not harvest the best? Why not harvest the ultimate that we have to harvest inside, which is our own humanity, our own heart, open heart, full of joy, love, the gift of life, the gift of God that we've been given. And then a harvest moon becomes more than just a big ball in the sky. It transforms us because we have made room for that energy to transform us. Now, again, I'm not an astrologer, and I'm sure there are 350,000 meanings in astrology to a harvest moon, you know, but I really don't care, it doesn't interest me. But I am interested in harvesting the deepest elements of myself. I hope that makes sense, I really do, because it's important, not the harvest moon so much, but what
Mhm.
we do with that energy, what we do with that, experience, how we harvest ourselves is really more significant than standing and watching a big moon. But if it reminds us to do the harvesting, then it's an extraordinary time of the month.
Thank you.
You look. Does, I used to have a guy, it was really interesting, I mean, used to be a student of mine. He was a rabbi, and I think he lived in Cincinnati, but he used to teach at the Hebrew seminary. And every time in his classes, he had to get some really, interpretation of the Bible. He used to call me up for my interpretations. Tell me, never heard that in the seminary. It was so interesting. And we'd have these wonderful conversations about the real meaning, the meaning between the words of what is written in the Bible, what is written, the harvest moon, what is the meaning beneath the meaning? And I think to me, that's always been more important than just, stuff like, well, whatever, whatever people gloat about. Does anyone else have a question you'd like to tell? Yes. Remember once that guy called me up and he asked me to talk about Genesis.
Mm.
And my answer to him is, Genesis didn't take place 10,000 million years ago. It's happening right now. And the only people that are missing it is the human race. It's been created around all of us, every moment of our lives. The world goes through a rebirth. And we're so caught up in our minds, our emotions, our mental activity, our tension, that we miss creation going on around us all the time. So, well, they never taught me that in the seminary. The guy told me, I was very curious. Does anyone else have a question? I would like to. Okay, as I announced, there'll be no class this Sunday. There will be a class on Thursday, tomorrow night. And, I mean, there's so many people. I don't know who goes to what classes anymore. Everybody attends all the classes. So there's one tomorrow night. There's another one too Thursday. But Sunday, we're having a retreat. So does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, if there are no more questions, have a wonderful day and God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you. Looking forward to seeing everyone soon. God bless.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome.
Thank you.